I have a voice again. So this is different for me because when I do these presentations, I'm at a paranormal event, at a paranormal convention, and I have to admit I'm a little nervous doing it in front of a group of people that I'm not sure what your thoughts are on the paranormal. But let me start with this. If you don't believe, if you're a skeptic, I welcome you, because you shouldn't just accept everything you see as this is real, this is ghost, this is spirit, or it's not spirit. I always ask people to have an open mind. And that's what I'm going to ask for today, is for people to see what I'm doing and have an open mind about it. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to see the stuff that I'm doing and be like, oh, well, I get it, that makes sense, or that sounds like what he thinks it sounds like, or anything like that. You don't have to do any of that. I'm not asking you to. I don't expect, if you don't believe in paranormal sort of activity, I'm not expecting anyone to be leaving here going, oh, well, Greg explained it. I know it all now. It's all clear. All I ask for is if you don't agree with what I'm doing or my philosophy or anything like that, we just have respectful conversation, because I respect your point of view as well, because this is something that, this is not a hobby to me. This is a lifestyle. This is something that I've now molded my life around to help people who need help with spirits who need help, people who don't understand why their house is a certain way, why things are happening in their house a certain way. And Paranormal 101, it is a Paranormal 101, but it's also my Paranormal 101. So there's going to be my way of doing paranormal in here. Doesn't mean it's the only way of doing paranormal, but I want to give my philosophy and what I'm doing, okay? And we're going to lock the doors so you can't leave. Anyway, why are you laughing? All right, Ghost Box Live. That's me. It's my paranormal brand, and I call this Paranormal with Purpose. How many of you watch the TV shows out there? You like them? They're good. I mean, they're good but they're entertainment. You know, that's what they're there for. They're entertainment. They want you to be scared so that you'll come back. You want to be scared to see what Zach Bagans gets up to every week. What controls him? What takes him over? That's what people come back for. People don't go watching a show because someone like me helps a spirit move on and cross over. That's not as much fun. So this is my way of doing paranormal. And I had a philosophy. I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and I have a philosophy about my style of investigating, and it's simply this. This isn't our story, such as the investigator's story. This is their story, and that story could be the client, the person who's calling me in, or the spirit themselves. We look at the spirits very much as people. They haven't changed. They're still people. People think that when someone passes away, they sprout angelic wings and that they're good and that they're flying up to heaven and stuff. If you're a jerk in real life, you're probably going to be a jerk as a spirit. If you are somebody who liked to play practical jokes on people when you were alive, you're probably going to do it as a spirit also. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, honestly, if I had the opportunity to really punk Roger up here, damn right I would. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to die first. So we investigate. I know how to use microphones. We investigate from the heart, and that sounds silly, I guess, in a way, because it sounds so sentimental and stuff. It's very anti-paranormal television shows, because the television shows are kind of like, let's get possessed, let's find demonic activity, let's figure out, what's evil in all these situations. And I can guarantee you this, and I've spoken to many demonologists. I know a lot of demonologists. I've studied demonology. 1% of everything that comes our way, if that, is demonic. Everything else is going to be a cranky spirit. Just because someone knocks on a wall doesn't mean, a spirit knocks on a wall doesn't mean it's demonic. It scares people, and that's fine, but that goes back to what I said about people who were jerks in real life. You get someone who you know you're going to get a rise out of, yeah, they're going to do it. And that's what you run into. Also, you run into people who, like, you have a grandmother and you get her house and you're like, I don't like the color of that wallpaper. I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to remodel. All of a sudden, grandma is really kind of pissed off because you're changing her house that she loves so much. She's going to let you know. If she let you know back when you're a teenager that you dressed like, you didn't dress the best, she's going to let you know that she doesn't like what you're doing to your house. So just keep that in mind. That's what we run into quite a bit, to be very honest. So that's really kind of fun. I want to talk a little bit about myself. It's one of my favorite subjects, to be honest. Wanted to talk a little bit about what I do. I also do on AM 950 every Sunday, not tomorrow because I'm going to be here. I do a radio show, Ghostbox Radio, with Greg Bakun. And the thing I wanted to do is bring in people who I admire in the field. And anyone who's ever seen someone like Jeff Belanger, who is a big researcher. He's worked on Ghost Adventures. He's worked on a lot of programs. Destination Fear, Dakota, Chelsea, Tanner, they've been on my show. It's not only just them. Next week, on January 30th, I have Kate A. Dahlman, who you might be like, who's Kate? And she is a expert or someone very knowledgeable on Ouija boards, and there's some really interesting stuff alongside that as well. So I do that every Sunday at 4:06 p.m. on AM 950, if you ever want to check that out. I also have cards in Artist Alley at my table that I forgot I had. So there's like a real cool spread of like 5 cards out there if anyone wants to grab one. Really try to be ready for this, as you could tell. But the show on AM 950 is my kind of vanity way to kind of be able to talk paranormal with people who love it. And you can call in, you can send comments. It's also repeated every Saturday at 8 p.m. on AM 950. It's also available on Spotify and iTunes and all those good places. Every Sunday night, I do something called Ghostbox Live, and we're going to talk extensively about a way that I do investigations. It's not the only way to do investigations. It's the way I like to do them, a piece of equipment I use called the Spirit Box, and we're going to get to that soon enough. I also do, on occasion, something called Living Paranormal. This is a live stream paranormal investigation of locations. And what I like to do is as you can see on the side there's a lot of like small boxes. And if a room has activity happening, I can just switch to that room and we can talk to those people, see what they're getting, see if anything comes through. Flashlight play, or as you can see in front of it, that's called the K2. See if it lights up, if you get intelligent response lighting up stuff. It's a lot of fun. I like it better than the shows, to be honest, mainly because the shows, you don't know what you're seeing. This is live. You can interact with it. You can put your comments in. If you see something, then you let us know, because we maybe miss something, and you might see something move. It's happened before. There is also Parafriends events that I run. We do paranormal events. This is an example of being at the Calumet Inn in Pipestone, Minnesota. We had a lot of people at that event. And what we do is we show people how to do paranormal investigations respectfully, and then we give them a chance to do it. We don't get involved all that much with it. What we try to do is get people to have the opportunity to speak to spirits. And one thing that we really try to do, what we really try to drive home to people, is that spirit communication is beautiful. It is not something that we should be afraid of. I understand why it can be. And I understand why it can be if you are inclined to believe that, that could be bad energy or whatever else. I understand that. My sister, when my dad passed away, my sister was like, I just hope he doesn't come visit me. I don't know what I would do. And, I felt him come visit me the night he passed. If you talk to her now, she's going to say, well, I really wish Mom would come and visit me, because since then my mom had passed. It's like she has not taken a full turn, but she's much more open to it, because she understands how beautiful it would be to have one, maybe hear that tone of voice one more time. Maybe get something. I mean, how many of us have lost somebody who we loved? You could just want 5 more minutes with them, 30 seconds with them, one more word with them. And honestly, I think that this does that. But I mean, it depends on your point of view. And, you know, sometimes you might hear a knock on the wall, and someone's going to be like, well, that knock on the wall is going to be the pipes and stuff. Maybe it is. But you start to feel it here. And this is the way I investigate from the heart, as I said early on. And you start to know the energy, and you start to know what's happening around you, that you know that that's not the plumbing. Because you've been in this room so many times, you know why suddenly is the wall knocking when I'm asking it to. So that's always something that I find very powerful. I also do a web series. The web series is going to be taken off YouTube in a matter of weeks. I am moving everything, and I'm doing more of these over at a streaming service called Paraflix. It's a paranormal streaming service that I am really excited to finally take part in. There's 4 episodes up there now. There's 10 that's going to be made total. I'm going to make new episodes. This is basically, once again, going to locations, and we do investigations, but it's not like the TV shows. This isn't about getting scared. This is about what we found. It's about going to different rooms and seeing, like, anyone hear of the Palmer House in Sauk Center, Minnesota? It's a very famous paranormal location. We did our first episodes there. These are really fun programs because to me, it's not about getting scared. It's about hearing spirit voices. And the way that I do it, and doesn't mean it's the only way, and it's kind of a controversial way, is something called the Spirit Box. Now, the Spirit Box is a device that rapidly scans through radio frequencies. It's a little radio like this. You know when you hit the scan button on a radio and it stops at a station because it's scanning and hitting the next radio station? Well, this will bypass that. It's going to keep going. You can go at different speeds. So you can go faster sweeping through. It's called a sweep. You can go slower. You can go frontwards. You can go backwards. And that gives spirits, we believe, it gives spirits energy to talk with us in real time. And now what the thing is that you look for in these things is intelligent responses. You're asking a question, and you hear something through the spirit box that answers your question. Now keep in mind, you are going through the frequencies so quickly, the radio station so quickly, when they're forming full words, that's not possible. And that's what makes me very interested in this. I have a lot of people, because we're going to play some evidence, I have a lot of people who will tell me, that doesn't sound like what you think it says. Once again, that's fair enough. I feel very positive, I feel very comfortable in my thought that what I'm hearing is correct. We do this Sunday nights, like I said earlier. I know some of us we've met on these things. And my whole purpose of that is to reach out to your loved ones. And when I hear someone say, that's my mom's voice. They said my name. They said their name. Then who am I to take that away? If I don't hear it, doesn't mean it didn't happen. But they heard it. They get it resonates with them. It gives them calm. That's what I'm here for. That's what I really like to do. Spirit Box is part of a method of communicating called ITC, intertransmental communication. And what that basically means, any electronic device that you can get a response out of, that's part of ITC. There's a lot of ways to investigate, This just happens to be one of my personal favorites. I enjoy doing this. People use audio recorders, and you put it on record, you ask questions, and you play it back, and you may hear responses to those questions. Those are called EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. You might, say that you get a response from your toaster, that means that's ITC. I don't know if anyone ever see this news story, though, that some woman, she felt like that a ghost was talking to her through her toaster, and then she married it. So there's that. I mean, however it works for you, I don't really care. But that is, that's just it, though. It sounds weird to me, but if that works for them, if that resonates for them, that's fine. Let's see. What we show here, what you see in the picture there, is it's a mass-produced version of a spirit box. There are different types. That's called a PSP-7. His stuff. There's a market for people to get paranormal equipment. It's a big market, and so this is a mass-produced one. People ask me all the time, if I want to use spirit box, what version do I get? And I always say this because it's inexpensive. It's actually what I use when I do my Facebook Lives. I feel I get a lot, but people make their own. There's a bunch of hacks. They call them shack hacks, and what that is, you remember those old, they look kind of like that, but they're Radio Shack radios from the 90s. You can bypass some circuitry in there, and you have a shack hack, and I'll play some recordings from that a little bit later. And then there's customs. People are constantly making their own version of the spirit box, starting from scratch, putting everything into a container, a holder, and they are creating their own version of spirit box, and they are amazing. They're also very expensive. So, I always try to get people to go as cheap as possible. If you don't know what you're doing, if you've never done it before, don't go big and go home. You'll just be going home broke. Start small and kind of build up from there. One version that I have is, it's called an Andre box. It was made specifically for me. It looks like an old-time radio. I want to play a video. I don't know how well these will translate through here, and I don't mean that in the sense that the equipment here is bad or anything. Quite the contrary. It's very impressive how everything's set up. This stuff is just sometimes not great to hear. It's tough to hear. I have subtitles on here in terms of what we picked up, what we think it's saying. It moves very quickly. I did this video back in 2016, actually right before Christmas, and I want to play it. It's from the Andres box. We can always play it again if you want to. It's a little bit longer, but I really like the responses. And once you get your ears kind of used to it, I think you might hear what I'm hearing. I'm not going to say you will hear what I'm hearing because I just don't know. You might watch this video and you might be like, this is a load of crap. And once again, that's fair. So let's play this. This was done, like I said, I think it was December 24th. My slate says it's from January 1st, but that's when I edited it together. But take a listen, and we'll kind of see if we agree with how this sounds. Oh, hold on. I'm already screwing up the PowerPoint. All right. This is the Andres box. I just got it, and I am dying to try it out. Like I said, I just got this box. It was a custom build, and we'll give it a shot and see what happens. If you know who I am, could you say my name, please? Are any of my relatives here? Could you tell me your name, please? If I talk to you again with different equipment, would you speak with me? Do you have anything you'd like to say to me before I shut down this session? Do you want me to try to contact you on Christmas?
20?
Okay, I'm gonna shut this down. I'm gonna shut this down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see what happens. So, did any of that come through for anybody? You know, yeah, it doesn't. The video doesn't end. I think that's hard. That's one of the harder ones to hear, in my opinion. I'm going to play some stuff that I think is more clear. I guess we'll see if that's true or not. But that was the very first time I used that particular box, and I got a lot of stuff. I felt like I got a lot of stuff, and that was directly about me. And when I do paranormal investigating, I tend to not to make it about myself unless I'm doing it privately, because I feel like that's something that all paranormal investigators do, is that they tend to make it about themselves. And like I said at the beginning of this isn't our story, this isn't my story, this is their story. So, do you want to hear some recordings and see if this sounds anything like what I think it does? All right, what is this one? All right. Early on in my paranormal career, if you can call it that, I had been to a cemetery, and it was very windy. You're going to hear it be very windy, and it just didn't sound like I got anything. And when I say, and I apologize, I'm not going to do a thing where I'm going to play it and everyone tries to guess what it says. We don't have time for that. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to see it on screen, what I think it says. You don't have to agree to it, okay? But I just said, did you say good? And you're going to hear a lot of wind on the microphone. And I get a response that I believe is from the old St. Walburga Cemetery in Rogers, Minnesota. And I think that they said, nope. But the way it's said, I think it's really cool, and I hope that you feel that way too. Let's play. Did you say good? Did you say good? You hear that? I mean, that's not radio. That's not a radio station. That is, and it's prolonged amongst a lot of different stations, really, frequencies. Now, you're going to hear a lot of static, and that's how these boxes work, at least this particular box. And that gets annoying. It's very, you get the, that's how they work. A lot of people hate that. It gets very annoying. I'm used to it. Let's see here. What else we got here? You think? Okay, there we go. At the same cemetery. I am at Old St. Walburga Cemetery, and I'm outside this building, and I don't even remember what question I asked, but when I get back home and I listen to the recording, I get this. No peeper. What that meant, and from how old St. Walburga Cemetery is, which dates back to the late 1800s and goes in the early 1900s, no peeper simply means, don't, not no spying, but you get my, stay away, leave us alone sort of thing, stop watching us. And that seemed to fit the time. And I thought that was really interesting. Once again, it's too many words to be able to just be from the radio. And it was intelligent. I didn't ask for it, but it came through, and I think it comes across really well. And then maybe a spirit can show me how to use PowerPoint. That's the next thing on to do. Went to a place in New York called the Morris Jamel Mansion. And it's known for many things. It's been around since the mid-1700s. It's in the middle. It's all urban sprawl has grown up around it. It's just this wonderful, beautiful mansion. It also was the headquarters for General Washington during the American Revolution, in the late 1700s. But it's also known for Eliza Jamel. And Eliza Jamel is this, she was at one point the richest woman in America in the 1800s. She was very shrewd. I was down in the kitchen of this mansion, and I was asking the servants, like spirit servants, if they can answer questions for me. We get this response, and it's really interesting because I personally believe this is Eliza Jamel. And I love this response. I want to see if you all can well, you're going to see the caption. Feel free to shut your eyes, though, also, if you want to listen to it, and see if you can hear what's being said. So, stop it. And I feel like that was her saying, pretty much, get out. You leave us alone. Stop it. Enough. And what I love about that response, too, there's inflection in that voice. That's not just like, something from who knows what. It's someone who's just like, stop it. And I think that's really fantastic. I absolutely love that. All right, there we go. This is another one at the Morris Jamel Mansion, where friend Robert had experienced something there. And we were outside in the main garden in the front, and I was running my spirit box. He was walking around, checking out the place. And when I listened back to it, there was somebody, his name came through the spirit box. Like, well, that's interesting. And then you start listening to more of the recording. It's kind of like you're building back, and there's another word, and then there's another word, and it's a whole sentence. And this is one of my favorite pieces because it is so, to me, this is so well defined. Does that sound like it? I played that. Anyone who knows who Dave Schrader is? I played it for him. He was on my show, on my radio show, and with the Holzer Files, he did an episode at the Morris Jamel Mansion. And I'm like, well, I want you to hear this. I wanted to tell him my experience and Robert's experience there. And I loved it because I played it for him. And you could just kind of see, because we get kind of competitive as paranormal investigators. We all want to have the best, evidence, even though I'm all about the heart, all that stuff. But, still I want some good stuff. And you could hear in his voice, yeah, that's really good. And it's like, yeah, damn right it is. So, I enjoyed that. So, are you all tracking with me so far? Is this all interesting, or are you all just waiting for the hour to end? It's fine, however you want to do it. Strawberry Point, Iowa, is a place that I've visited a number of times. Very, very haunted. My friend Freddie and I went out there to do some fly fishing, and I don't know how to barely walk, let alone fly fish. But he said, if you come out there with me, I'm going to show you how to fly fish, but you got to show me how to do some paranormal investigating. And I'm like, that's fine. We went to a hotel in Strawberry Point called the Franklin. They said it's haunted. I don't know about that, but we were in the bar. Imagine that. And we were in the bar, and word got around really quickly because the owner, the bartender, I should say, is like, "What are you all doing here?" And Freddie's like, "We're looking for ghosts," and all this stuff that I don't want to say. By the way, I call it paranormal investigating. People who say ghost hunting to me is almost derogatory because we're not hunting ghosts. That's just me. You call it whatever you want. But it got around the bar. Like, immediately, you could see, like, fire going around the bar. It's like, I don't know how people are going to take this. It's a small town. I don't know what people think of this. This woman across the bar, she's just like, I bet you can't last 5 minutes in my house. It's so haunted. I had to leave there tonight because it's so bad. And I'm like, yeah, I bet I could last 5 minutes in your house. And so we were, yapping back and forth for about an hour, loudly to each other, to find out that she lives in a house that is, that has been in her family for generations. It's a farmhouse. And we came to an arrangement, because it was Freddie and I, and Shannon was her name. And it was like, well, obviously, it doesn't make sense that we just go over to her place, just two of us. She doesn't know us. I mean, it's just safety reasons. So she called a friend, and we all met over there, And so we started doing some investigating. And what we get here is we get Freddie's name through the spirit box. And this is one of those occasions where we ask if you can, and I don't normally do this, but this is Freddie, can you say Freddie's name for us? This is what we get. You're going to hear what we think is his name. Then you're going to hear us kind of all get giggly, and then pay attention, because there's something else being said right after that. The other guy in here is named Freddie. Could you please say Freddie's name to validate that you are listening to us? You hear that? The other guy in here is named Freddie. Could you please say Freddie's name to validate that you are listening to us? You hear that? Do you hear that little girl say cool? Do you want me to play it again? Because we have the time. The other guy in here is named Freddie. Could you please say Freddie's name to validate that you are listening to us? You hear that? The other guy in here is named Freddie. Could you please say Freddie's name to validate that you are listening to us? You hear that? Sorry, there's a microphone here. Just like I didn't realize there was a chair yesterday when I was standing in front of it holding it. What I like about Freddie's name being said there, and I don't know if you picked up on it or not, it's not just like where it sounds like, oh, well, it's kind of 2 syllables, I guess it is. There is a distinct Freddie. Freddie, that's cool. If it was just like, for example, when my name comes through, I often doubt it. It's just 1 syllable. It could be like, rah, rah, rah. Once in a while you hear Greg. That's when I pay attention, but it's harder. Like, for example, if like Elijah came through, that would be pretty amazing, because that's, 3 syllables. And, there's just no mistaking that. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that, I like to think that girl who says cool is reacting to us getting excited to hear Freddie's name. That night, Freddie and I went to a cemetery at around 2:33 in the morning. His name came through about 5 times. He's one of those people everyone loves. I hate him. The other... Yeah, we're going to play that again. All right. This is another one at Strawberry Point. We just ask a very simple question. I do this all the time. If you watch my show, every time. How many spirits are in the room with me right now? How many spirits are in this house right now? 3? How many spirits are in this house right now? 3? I'm sorry, I don't think there's any mistaking. That was 3 that came through. There was one point during this, I look over at Freddie, who's never done this before, and I see this. I enjoy that. It's just funny, because it's like, people, if you're not used to it, it's really eye-opening, it's fun, this is not an environment that is, like, scary. It's that, if you're investigating with me, I don't turn it into scary environments. But of course, I'm going to share some of my scarier moments, so. All right. For example, this one. Anyone hear of the Villisca Axe Murder House in Villisca, Iowa? For those of you who do not know, this was a small town. Villisca was a small town. There were a family of 6 people, and they actually had 2 friends. There was 4 children. They invited their friends to come over. It was the last day of school. They went up to the church about a block away. They went in, had the last day of school mass. They came home, and the friends stayed over that night. What they didn't realize was that while they were at church, somebody came into their house and was waiting in their attic with an axe. And when they went to bed that night, this person, though we believe it's more than one, came out of the attic and murdered everybody in the house, every single person. Villisca did not have a police department. They had a peace officer. So what ended up happening is once they found out that this family had been murdered, everyone, as a small town does, comes in and they decide they're going to help clean the place up. So they destroyed all the evidence. There is nothing that they could take to try to figure out who the murderer is. There's about 5 suspects. They never found out for certain who did it. Meanwhile, next door, there's an elderly woman who lived in the house next door, and she had heard everything that went on, but she was an old woman. She's not going to go over there and figure out what's happening. She just hid and waited till the next morning to alert somebody. There's a lot more to the story. The story was, this was back in 1912. It was so big in the U.S., it knocked the Titanic sinking off the front page of the newspaper, because Titanic sunk in April. It was still front page news. This knocked it off. And it's, I think it was June 2nd, 1912, that this happened. So this place is horrible. I went there. I still consider it the scariest place I've ever investigated. I got an attachment there. I had all sorts of things happen. I was with people who are not very good investigators. You always got to trust who you're investigating with. And it just was a real crappy situation, okay? We got a lot of crazy things that night. And one of them is this piece from the Spirit Box. We're still looking for a name. Give us a name. Six people killed. That's what this just said.
What? 6 people killed?
Killed. We're still looking for a name. Give us a name. 6 people killed. That's what this just said.
What? 6 people killed?
Killed. It's the first time ever I started to kind of get sick on investigation when I heard that. And you could hear in my voice, like, that's what it said. You know, it's just like it was hitting. What you may or may not have heard was, as we're talking, it starts saying it again, 6 people, and but it's a different voice that says it. What's odd about that is, yeah, 6 people were killed, but in fact, 8 people were killed. So in my mind, the theory is, I think that there is more to that story than we know. And I'm not saying that anyone in the family were a part of this in the sense of killing, but they were a part of it in the sense that they created this to happen. And I think there's something more to this story than what we know. And I don't think we're ever going to know the truth. I think it's too far along. It's still an open case in Iowa, but I don't think anything is ever going to really come from it. Did that sound like that to you all? Makes it easier when it says it too, doesn't it? No. What are we doing for time? Okay, we're good. This one is one that I find very frightening, actually. This was also at Villisca, And what you're going to hear, and I'm going to, because there's a lot of things happening in this. It's going to start with hearing my name, Greg. You're going to hear me say, did somebody say my name? What I never heard before until someone else listened to it recently, when I say, did someone say my name, on the spirit box, you hear someone said, I did. And I asked the question, well, you know my name, what is your name? And this is the response we get from that.
Greg? What?
You know my name?
You said my name. What is your name?
Greg? What?
You know my name?
You said my name. What is your name?
Greg? What?
You know my name?
You said my name. What is your name?
So I'll tell you this much, it's not Satan. You know, I mean, that is a textbook way spirits try to get to you. They try to scare you. This is a place they try to scare you. I call Villisca the STD of the paranormal because you get so many people that come in there. They rent out the place every night for $450, $500. What happens is that you get people in there and they conjure. They conjure stuff all the time. There is stuff that has been in there that has nothing to do with the murders. And you end up having to deal with all this when you're in there yourself. It's not good. It's very dangerous, actually. So one of the things that spirits like to do is they like to try to scare you, so they're going to throw out stuff that's going to throw you off. And no, you know, Satan is not waiting for me in a house in Iowa, you know, saying my name. So, you know, as much as I'd love to be singled out by the Dark Lord himself, it's not happening. So that is, but I mean, it's a great lesson. But I will tell you what happened after that. The investigator with me, she started getting a poking feeling in her eye. I started to feel as if someone grabbed my heart and just did this to it. But is that just anxiety? You know? It's scary. It's scary in there. We went up to a room. First of all, like I said, the killer was in the attic. Now, to me, an attic is at the top floor of a house. It is, you know, it's not anywhere else. This is a farmhouse. So the attic would be, if you have a second floor, you have the kids' room, you have the parents' room, and here you have the attic. So when the kids were getting ready for bed, when the parents were getting ready for bed, everyone's just doing their own thing, there was somebody in that house with an axe ready to kill. And I still think that there's more than one person involved. These are not scary compared to some of my friends who've been there. And what's called residual energy, where stuff plays over and over and over again. It's kind of like, if anyone's seen the stone tape, it's so traumatic, it sticks to the walls. It sticks everywhere, it doesn't leave. She has, Shar, my friend Shar, has EVPs of, you hear this little girl screaming, and unfortunately what it probably is her being killed. And as much as, you know, it's always talking about love and light and everything doing paranormal, these are real scenarios also. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Let's keep up the positivity. Let's see here. I bet it's going to play again. Yep. All right. Okay. Four Paws. Anyone heard of Four Paws in St. Paul? Closed now, but they allowed us in when it was still open. So we did a paranormal investigation. We got evidence together, and then we did a dinner there where we played out what we heard. This is just sweet. I think this is sweet. I'm just asked Spirit, when we're in a room, is there anybody here with me? And this is this little voice's response. Is there anybody in here by me right now?
No.
No? Is there anybody in here by me right now?
No.
No? a little voice. No, I'm not here. I don't like you, Greg. Join the club. All right. So this is all that stuff was on the SB7, that mass-produced one. There, like I mentioned, if y'all tracking with me, we do have the shack hacks. And the first time I got a shack hack, which is one of my favorites that I love to use, I tried it out, and this is about 3 months after my dad passes away. And you get this response, and I didn't hear it at the time, which is why I keep talking over it. Professional over here. But you get the start of this child's voice. Once again, I remind everybody with the spirit box, it's going through radio frequencies. If it's radio, it would not go as long as what this recording is. So I'm going to play this for you.
Do you have anything to say to me that you would like? Do you have anything to say to me that you would like?
Just simple. Your father wants.
Who is that?
I don't know. And so obviously I hear it, and I go back and I try to speak and try to find this little girl to see what does Dad want? What's going on? Never. Never from yet. I did hear her voice one more time, maybe about 2 years ago, but once again, it was after I recorded, so I listened back to it. I don't know what it is. I think it's cool, though. I think it's really neat to get those little nuggets. Did it sound like that to you all? I just want to make sure that you're all just like, is he done yet? Okay, this is 4 Paws again. Every place has a resident ghost. If you go anywhere, someone's going to say, oh, so-and-so is here. We track them all the time. We talk to them, especially the famous locations. They are all about these sort of things. So there's one at 4 Paws called George. And every time someone says, oh, there's a famous ghost here, it's kind of like, well, is this really here? Is this just, people telling stories and whatnot? So we ask about George. And so you're going to hear me speak, and you're going to hear George speak. It's not the clearest in the world, but I think it gets his point across. So let's have a listen.
George, can you tell us your rank, please? George, can you tell us your rank, please?
The part of the important part of the story I left out, I'm not a storyteller, is that he was obviously in the Army. So what was interesting about this is I played this at the presentation. Just thought that's kind of cool. He's a sergeant. What's interesting also, the yeah and sergeant is the same voice. That's neat. I played the piece of recording. The manager comes up to me, or he says it in the group that we're talking to, and he says, we were able to track down George. We found out who he was. We did some work to find out more about him. He was indeed a sergeant. So, I'm like, this stuff is real? Okay. I ask how many years someone might have been here. It's a fine line because you don't want to be like, do you know you're dead? How do you feel being dead? Would you like to be alive again? Those are things that, you all laugh, but I've been in rooms where people ask that. My favorite is we start an investigation, and our rules is whatever the spirit says, we go by. And we start up, and I have someone next to me. He gets all the equipment out. We spend 15 minutes just kind of getting ourselves ready. Chris, do you have a question? Let's start off. Sure. Would you like us to leave? And you're like, what? What are you asking? And then they're like, you get something like, yeah, or a flashlight turns on. And you're like, all right, and you pack it all up. It's time to go. Because respect is key. So if they're like, yeah, you get out of here. Like, oh, shit. At 4 Paws, we ask Spirit that we've been talking to, can you tell us how many years you've been here? Could you tell me how many years you've been here? Could you tell me how many years you've been here?
7.
7, if you didn't read. Yeah. Those are clear. They're not great. They're not huge. They're not huge amounts of words or anything, but it answers the question. This, I always think this is kind of fun because we just ask spirit, is once again respect. We're not here. You're not a specimen to us. We're not trying to, expose you or do anything like to insult or hurt or anything. We consider ourselves friends with them, and so this is how we ended one of our investigations at Four Paws.
You are amongst friends. You are amongst friends.
Oh, this is also a good one. We have flashlights that we have set, and those are, people don't always believe that those are spirits turning it on. I can understand why. But when they turn on, when you ask them to turn on, I think those are very interesting. So we did one where a flashlight turned on at Four Paws, and this is what we asked.
Who turned on the flashlight? I don't know. Who turned on the flashlight? I don't know.
Let's see here. How much time do we have left? We have some time. This is from my web series, Ghost Box. And this is more responses that I got from one of the hack spirit boxes. I want to play this because to me, these are very clear communications. Sorry, it's a little overly produced, so I do apologize for that. Only because it just gets kind of like, good grief. So this is at the soap factory in St. Anthony, Maine, which is not really the same place anymore. This place was off the hooks, haunted, and it was a lot of fun. I do use an SB7 spirit box, even though some people look down on it. As far as I'm concerned, if you're getting results, what's the problem? That being said, this evidence was taken from a hacked spirit box, which is an old radio changed to run as a spirit box. The night we interviewed Brady and Tam, a few of us stayed behind and got some great responses from some spirit box sessions. Here are some of the responses.
What did you hear?
It sounded like a.
What did you hear?
It sounded like a.
Are you okay with us down here right now?
Right there.
There's a lot of them.
This is my favorite piece of spirit box evidence, as we were in the basement and we felt and saw a dog walk through our group. I ask a question and get an intelligent response.
Is somebody's dog here?
It's pretty hard. It's pretty hard.
So, I enjoy those. Those are fun. Let's see what else we got here. Just going to go through some stuff because I want to play one more thing. If I can pull it, I need to pull it from my computer. Is it okay if I just can pull it from? Okay. And I don't care if you all are seeing my, because if I can find it. Give me one quick second because I don't have it in my thing. Anyone ever used a Ouija board before? I never have. 2 years ago, though, I was had this need to do so. And so, luckily, fine places like Milton Bradley makes them. And so I got one sent to me, and I open it up. And I lay it out, and I start doing it, and I start asking the questions. I also do the protection. You got to protect yourself, put a bubble around yourself. I do so, and get ready, ask some questions, and nothing happens. Okay, cool. Back it up, put it away. The next day, I'm at work, when I used to work, and I get a phone call, and the phone number is 952-666, and then 4 other numbers. And I just looked at my cube mate, and I'm like, I ain't answering this. I'm like, screw that. Whatever. Leaves a voicemail. And like, wow, really? Oh, I guess I got to listen to this. So this is the voicemail that is left behind from that call.
How dare you?
Okay, so I'm sure everyone's first reaction is like, well, someone's pranking you. So I heard that, and I'll play it all for you again.
How dare you?
It sounds to me like, how dare you let me out again? So I call the number back. I'm like, okay, number doesn't exist. If it's a coincidence, it's a damn good one. I don't know what it is. I can't say for sure it's attached to using a Ouija board, but that was pretty crazy. One other piece of Spirit Box that I want to play before we're done here is I like to try to reach out to, see if I can get to it or not. I sometimes like to reach out to see if I can get anyone famous. And one day I asked, during my Spirit Box session on Sunday nights, I asked if I could speak to President Lincoln. I actually did a meditation to see if I can get to him. Sounds crazy when you say it out loud, like I wanted to speak to President Lincoln, but I got some reaction from the equipment that made me believe that I could. So what happens is I also asked, can I speak with you when I do this live stream? You know, hopefully he understood. He said yes. I have one more question. May I reach out to Mary Todd Lincoln? And I get the same sort of response. Yes. So during the Spirit Box session, we start off as Mr. Lincoln, President Lincoln, are you here? We get through the Spirit Box. Yes. And my feed starts blowing up. And I start getting nervous because everyone's excited. I'm getting excited. So I'm like, I'd like to speak to Mary Todd Lincoln. The question I was going to ask her was, when you were alive, you spoke to spirits. And now that you have passed, do you speak to the living? What you're going to hear is me not knowing how to ask a question because I was nervous, actually. But I think we got her. And I'd like you to hear this. This doesn't have any captions or anything to it. This is just an audio file. But, let me know what you all think.
Mrs. Lincoln, you spent your entire life reaching out to spirits. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people? Talk about what?
Did that come through all right to you all? There's also this voice that we thought was Lincoln actually spoke. We have a little bit of time to play it one more time. You'll hear a male voice come through. I believe it's Lincoln.
Mrs. Lincoln, you spent your entire life reaching out to spirits. Do you talk to other people? Do you talk to other people as a spirit, to other living people? Talk about what?
That's neat. I believe that's history. And I'm doing a paranormal panel tomorrow. I didn't give us time for questions. I apologize. It's how to be a paranormal investigator. We just, to me, it looks like a casual discussion about paranormal that we can all take part in. If you'd like to join me tomorrow, tonight I'm speaking about British television. I also want to do a quick shout out before we're done here to Scott, Bob, Natasha. You all have made this so easy for me to put all my stuff on this weekend. I just really want to thank you all so much for everything you're doing. This was really great. You really took care of me this weekend, so thank you very much. Everyone else, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. If you have questions about what I do, I'd love to talk to you all. Take care, everyone. Thank you.